When does a language truly die? It's when the last person who uses it for daily conversation is gone, even if the language lingers on in special circles. That's the strange fate of Latin, the language of ancient Rome, spoken by emperors, poets, soldiers, and everyday citizens. You might think of Latin as a dusty relic, but for centuries after the fall of Rome, it was the heartbeat of Europe's elite. Priests preached in it, scientists published in it, scholars debated in it. To this day, Latin lives on in law, medicine, science, and in the vocabulary of countless modern languages. Even Google Translate offers Latin. So, what really happened to Latin? The split: book Latin versus spoken Latin. Classical book. Latin survived, first and foremost, as the language of the Church. The early Christian fathers, educated in the classical world, wrote and prayed in Latin, preserving its grammar and vocabulary with almost obsessive care. The language evolved a little, but not nearly as fast as everyday speech. Latin also became the international language of Europe. No matter where you were from, if you mastered Latin, you could travel, study, and be understood in any major city or university. Medieval students called vagantes wandered from Paris to Bologna to Oxford, taking classes and partying, always in Latin. For centuries, Latin kept Europe connected. Diplomats negotiated in it. Royal courts communicated in it. Even in the 16th century, Polish and French ambassadors used Latin to speak to each other, since their own languages were mutually unintelligible. The death and the rebirth. But beneath the surface, something else was happening. As the Roman Empire crumbled, soldiers, officials, merchants, and colonists spread Latin to every corner of Europe, from Spain and France to Germany and Britain. But they didn't always speak the refined Latin of Cicero and Virgil. Instead, their speech blended with local dialects and barbarian tongues. Complex grammar gave way to simpler forms. Unfamiliar sounds were swapped for local pronunciations. Over centuries, this vulgar Latin evolved into a whole family of new languages: Italian, Spanish, French, Romanian, Portuguese, and many more. Each was rooted in Latin, but shaped by local history, invaders, and time. Britain, less deeply Romanized, preserved fewer Latin traces, but even today, London's original name, Londinium, still echoes its ancient past. Latin never really died. It evolved. In the end, Latin didn't vanish overnight. It became something new, a living mosaic of Romance languages that still echo with ancient words and ideas. Spanish is perhaps the closest descendant of Latin, while Italian preserves much of its vocabulary and sound. Even now, over 90% of Italian words are straight from Latin. If a Roman walked the streets of modern Rome, he'd struggle with the accent, but he'd still catch familiar words in every conversation. Latin may be dead as a spoken language, but it's more alive than you think, hidden in plain sight in the words we use every day.